Welcome to the video guys. Following on from his win yesterday in the Austrian Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton has begun virtue signalling his life away almost instantly. As you will all know, he's put more effort into virtue signalling over the last few weeks than he actually has his racing in the last couple of years. Well, after winning the Austrian Grand Prix, he is now going to go one step further and try and persuade or coerce the other drivers to take the knee with him in upcoming Grand Prix. Because I don't know if any of you know, only 11 of them knelt yesterday, where 14 did it the first time, meaning the numbers of people taking a knee is dwindling, which obviously he cannot have. I am sure the moment he noticed 3 other drivers had joined the legends who refused to kneel last week, he went into absolute shit fits. Which might be the reason why he is planning to coerce other drivers into taking the knee for the upcoming Grand Prix, because his attempt at virtue signalling in F1 is actually failing. But before we get into that, I have moved the daily live streams over to Twitch, so if you want to come and join me over there for the daily live stream that usually starts at about 9 o'clock, the link will be down in the video description as always, along with the channel's other links. But back to the utter tosspot that is Lewis Hamilton, we have the Telegraph article headlining, Lewis Hamilton hoping to unite the grid and persuade all drivers to take the knee in upcoming Grand Prix. Just 11 of the 20 drivers joined Hamilton in performing the anti-racism gesture ahead of Sunday's Styrian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton said he has spoken to some of the drivers who have not taken a knee and hopes to unite the grid on the issue. Just 11 of the 20 drivers joined Hamilton in performing the anti-racism gesture ahead of Sunday's Styrian Grand Prix, as I just said. Red Bull driver Max Verstappen, Ferrari's Charles Leclerc, and 2007 world champion Kimi Räikkönen are among those who have elected to stand before the opening 2 Grand Prix, as I covered last week. There was a couple of other legends in amongst them. I forgot their names now, but it'll probably go through them later on in the article. We had the drivers briefing on Friday, and afterwards we all stayed on and debated whether to take the knee again. We had the drivers briefing on Friday, and afterwards we all stayed on and debated whether to take a knee again, said Hamilton, who claimed his first victory of the season with a dominant performance at Spielberg's Red Bull Ring. I said, I'm going to continue to do it, which is something I covered last week and part of the reason why he got a Shitweasel of the Week nomination. Which I've got to say, he's certainly putting himself in the running for another this week, that is for sure. After the Zoom call, I tried to spend one-on-one time with a few of those who had chosen to stand and to have a chat with them. Some of the drivers maybe don't fully understand how impactful their voices can be to people. No, they probably just don't care about virtue signalling. They wore End Racism shirts at the end of the day. What more can you expect them to do? No one is listening to these political messages in sport, I will tell you that for nothing. Some of them don't want to support Black Lives Matter, but they stand for anti-racism, which is the same thing. No, it is really not. They are completely different. Anti-racism is anti-racism. Black Lives Matter is a divisive message used by a bunch of Marxist scumbags at the end of the day. Hamilton said, I have made it clear that I am not supporting the political side but the human rights side of things. Then why didn't you just wear an End Racism t-shirt like the rest of them, you complete and utter tosspot? At the end of the day, it appears to us and to everyone, including some of your former fans, that you are supporting Black Lives Matter, which includes the political movement, as that is what it is. If Black Lives Matter was really about black lives, they would be protesting every day because of the amount of black people that lose their lives through various different means that you never hear these people screaming and shouting about because it can't be politicised. So the BLM movement is 100% political at the end of the day. From the driver's point of view, we are going to come closer through this. I am not saying that everyone's going to take a knee, but over time, as we get to talk about it more often, I would like to think we will all be together in the understanding of it. Which, hopefully they never do. Hopefully they literally just tell you to go and fuck yourself, especially because you're standing there doing this, you complete and utter mug. Hamilton performed a Black Power salute on top of his Mercedes and again on the podium following his triumph in Austria on Sunday because he's a tosser. The 35-year-old, whose win took him to within 6 points of championship leader and teammate Valtteri Bottas, then vowed to spend the rest of his life combating racism. he announced before the season that he will launch the Hamilton Commission in the hope of improving diversity. Hamilton remains the only black driver on the grid, which is something I covered in a previous video. I'm not going to bother going through now. He's just an idiot at the end of the day. It seems that for hundreds of years, for people of colour, their lives have been less important, added the Mercedes driver, as he stands there living an entire life of privilege while getting more privilege as we speak. The hypocrisy and stupidity of this guy is cringeworthy, but what else can we expect from snivelling shitweasels like Hamilton here? There are some people who have not grown up around it, who don't have friends who have been subjected to abuse. I would suggest you are probably one of them. I'm from South London and I've not heard anyone I know coming out with the bullshit that these liberal lefties run around screaming, that is for sure. And the rest of it there is just him virtue signalling, essentially saying the same shit he did last week. There's no point in me reading it, he's making me feel sick at this point. I find it rather laughable that he plans to try and coerce the other drivers into taking the knee with him because they all must bend the knee, otherwise he's going to start screaming and shouting that they're all racist, I would bet.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going, and we are glad to be going. We're off.